Okay, today I am baking a loaf. So there's the silicone sling that I use. That's parchment paper. And I always do a dusting of rice flour just to make sure it doesn't stick. I usually loosen the edges of the loaf with these silicone bannetons, but I forgot. But you'll see that I can't get it out, so I flip it over and I loosen it anyways. I actually did the dough yesterday morning and it bulk fermented on my counter perfectly. I let it go an extra hour than I usually do. Here I am loosening the loaf so that it loosens and comes out. There we go. And you can fart around with that and get it straight on your sling again. It's not too precious, but you're not going to wreck it. And then I dust it again with a little bit more rice flour once I get it positioned properly. I use a good quality rice flour. Love this little shaker that I got off Amazon. Now we do score the loaves, and the reason we do that isn't just for decoration and to make it pretty. We do it so that the loaf doesn't explode in weird places. You can control where it expands if you do the score. So a lot of people get really fancy with their scoring. I do a simple little decorative mark on the side, and then right down the center I do a kind of a curvy little score. So that's my lamb. I have 3, but this is the one I like to use the most. And there's the little light scoring on the side, and then the big deeper score that I kind of do a curve to. And then you watch, I take it in at a 45-degree angle and I lift the edges a little bit more. You can see me lifting the edge there. That gives it that pretty ear. Now I don't like a huge ear, so I don't go too deep because I find them hard to cut through, even though they taste magical, the ears. But there you go. I've had the Dutch oven in the oven for 40 minutes, preheating with the lid on at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, lowering the loaf into the Dutch oven, and it's hot, so be careful. And then I grab some ice, and I use an ice maker to make my ice, so they're perfect sizes, and I put about 4 or 5 little cubes into the Dutch oven under the parchment paper. Okay, that gives it the steam it needs to start the rise and just gives it a nice crispy edge. I've done it without the ice cubes, and I find I get a better bake, a little bit better rise with the steam. So it goes back into the oven. I rescore it at the 8-minute 30-second mark. I just take my lamb in there, lift the lid off, see, for 8 minutes, and then I rescore. In between, I made us some French toast with a couple-day-old strawberry white chocolate sourdough that I made a couple days ago. It was nummy, coconut syrup there. Now it's ready. So what it is, it's 450 for 25 minutes total, lid on, and then I lower the temp to 400 for another 20 minutes. So that was after that amount of time. Here's the loaf. And it's perfect. It's got the blisters all on the outside that you want. That means it was fermented properly. I'm so impressed with myself, you see. And it's hot, so be careful. There you go. There's the beautiful scoring. There's the ear, and there's the brown bottom. Now I've been using Fred. He's a perfect 2-year-old starter. I started him in Mexico, and here he is. And I feed him the night before I'm ready to bake, and then I pull from him the next morning and make my dough. Now I also told you before that I take a spatula and I spread a little bit of the active starter on the spatula. I dip it in there and I coat the spatula and spread it out like that to a thin layer, let it dry on that all day, and then I put it into that little unit thing and pulverize it, and that's my dehydrated Fred right there. You can find instructions on how to rehydrate and how much dehydrated starter to use to reconstitute and get another starter going if that one should ever fail. I have a backup. And there you go, guys. That's how I score and bake. Done.